updates. Good morning, Tobago. Let's go. It's a brand
Welcome back, viewers. Thank you for staying with us. And in studio this morning with me is, and I'll say, Mr. Terance Baynes. We're accustomed introducing him as Secretary Baynes, but he's not here in that capacity this morning. In fact, he's here as Bishop Terance Baynes of the Victory Place International Worship Center. And something special is happening on Sunday, this Sunday, the 25th of August, and he's here to tell us a little more about that. Good morning, Bishop.
Good morning, ma'am.
How are you?
It sounds so different.
Yes, because you're accustomed sitting in the hot seat as secretary, but we are talking about 911 emergency prayer for Tobago and volume 2, which means there was a volume 1. So tell us a little when the volume 1 happened and what would have gotten us to volume 2.
Right. We did a volume 1 in the month of January, I believe. We had it at the Esplanade, and it really was born out of the concern for some of the activities taking place in the Tobago space that is destructive and depressing and just negative.
Right.
And of course, we were not just talking about prayer in a vacuum. There are several other things taking place in and around this space, whether it's from a governmental level, from a security level, social level, and so on, to enhance the society and enhance the environment so that our people can have better opportunities and so on. But there is a spiritual dimension to man's existence as well.
Yes.
And so some of the matters that we are dealing with, we feel that it requires divine intervention. So the prayer is coupled with, or to perhaps to enhance or to even give legs to some of the other things that are done in the physical.
Right.
You understand? And so that was the general idea. We had several church leaders that converged on the Esplanade in January and stuff. And coming out of that, I was advised, encouraged, that this must not be something that a one-off thing, that we must do this and so on. And in fact, and I was just kind of waiting for the timing. You know, I know this is a season when prayer is very prevalent in this space.
Right.
I know the Office of the Chief Secretary has prayer, I believe, every month. I know this station has prayer, I believe it was last week and so on.
On Monday of this week, right?
And there was an event over the weekend, and prayer was a central focus of the thing and so on. You just can't have too much prayer.
Yes, definitely.
And so we are, us at the Victory Place International, you know, this is something in my heart, and I feel, given the climate that we're in, that this is time for the second installment.
Right. And tell us what we can expect at volume 2.
Right. So volume 2, the construct is a little different. We divide the session into 3 segments.
Okay.
Segment 1 would be hosted by me. It's like a half an hour segment where, before we actually get into the prayer, I will try and share with those present some of the things that are taking place on a governmental level, some of the services that the THA is providing and that kind of thing. So we want the population to have an appreciation that we are doing stuff to try and make the environment more user-friendly for people.
Right.
You understand? Trying to do things that will deter especially young people from going into...
There's no need to go into crime. We have other alternatives.
Right. So I would like to share some of those things. And then, of course, then we begin to pray about some specific areas. The second segment will be hosted by Deputy Commissioner of Police, Junior Benjamin, who is also a pastor.
Okay.
Right? And I thought it was prudent to invite him so that he could talk about some of the security issues that we would not be sensitive to, and engage some of the security personnel to be a part of that prayer session. So he will handle that session and so on. And then the final session is Pastor Junior George, who is a native of Canaan Bonaccord, and has this pulse on what is taking place in the society and that kind of thing. And he will share his own perspective, and then we'll have the final session of prayer. So it is, for want of a better word, a glorified prayer meeting.
Right.
You understand?
Yes.
But we want to furnish the population with as much information as possible so that the prayer can be intelligent.
Right.
You understand? We don't just want to have the general just praying. We want to pray with knowledge.
Right. So you want it to be intelligent, and you want it to be intentional.
Indeed.
Yes. Yes.
It is the effectual, fervent prayer of the righteous that avails much.
Right.
And those two terms suggest effectual, meaning as much information as possible. You pray from a place of knowledge and that kind of thing. And of course, fervency means constant. So I want to say here now that even while we're going to execute this on Sunday at the Calvary Road Deliverance Tabernacle in Bonaccord at 5 p.m., and so on, that we received a call that there is need for 911 in the east of Tobago, and we will be doing that very shortly as well. So when we know it's difficult sometimes for people that live in the eastern side to make it, and they complain, rightfully so, that a lot of the things happen down in town and in the west. Yes, so we will be doing that as well. You know,
right. And who can participate? Who can attend?
Everybody who knows how to pray, who is supportive of this, who think that this is something that is relevant and necessary at this particular point in time. We are inviting all and sundry to meet us at the Calvary Road Deliverance Tabernacle on this Sunday. It will also be streamed live on the Victory Place International Facebook page. So we want to put that out there. So you can, if you can make it to the venue physically, you can join us online, you know, at the Victory.
Most definitely.
Yes.
And let's talk a little bit about prayer, because as you said, a lot of organizations are having moments of prayer, seasons of prayer. Even Tobago Updates, we hosted Monday morning a 2-hour prayer session. Do you think, as believers, we really understand the power of prayer? Because we talk it a lot, but do we really understand? And I'm drawing from the interview clip that's being circulated with the president of El Salvador. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I did not.
You know, El Salvador is known to have like 67,000 gangs, not gang members, but 67,000 gangs, right? And riddled with crime. You know, we talk about how much ever murders for the week, and they are in the hundreds per day.
Right.
And their cabinet came together. They would have their policies, etc., as any responsible government. But one thing the president mentioned is that it's a secular government, but his cabinet is made up of believers. And they decided to pray. And they saw an immediate change. You know, because the interviewer was asking him, you know, why did you pray? And he said, well, we're doing everything we can as policymakers, but they understand the power of God. And since they were all believers, no one had an issue with it. And they decided to come together in prayer and make it a serious issue.
Yes, and there is a power. There is a power in harmony as well.
Right.
You know, one of these scriptures that comes to mind is when Jesus said, if two can agree on anything, it shall be done. And that word agree really speaks about harmonizing, you know. And so it is always a plus in the room to have people of self-same spirit, self-same heart, and self-same perspective when you're going to pray about a particular matter. You understand?
Right.
And so I can see easily how the results from that decision made at a cabinet level can impact the country.
Right.
You understand? I mean, we have various configurations of government around the region, you know, and you know, there are some spaces that it is a tall order. You know, to have that particular manifestation in certain spaces. Trinidad and Tobago for one, because of the multiplicity of religious views that we have and that kind of thing. So, but I think that albeit, as long as you can have people who are in unison about this particular matter, whether it be, you know, there are some we will always have religious nuances.
Right,
We will have
yes,
differences and
of
so on.
course.
But if we can agree, and the common denominator is the concern for the development and the welfare of our people.
Right.
You understand? God is an adult. God will answer who he wants to answer.
Right.
You understand? And
Yes.
he judges the heart of a man and the sincerity of a
Yes.
man's heart. We know that he has instructed us and he has admonished us that we should come boldly to the throne of grace to obtain grace and mercy to help in a time of need. And certainly in the Tobago space, it is a time of need for us.
Definitely.
You understand? There is no way that the security apparatus could touch every village, every hamlet in Tobago. There is no way you could put a police officer by everybody's door to help them with decision making when they get upset.
Right.
There is no way that you could do those things.
Right.
So there has to be some other message in the firmament where that will help somebody in their decision making, even in a hostile situation.
Yes.
Yeah, because a lot of times, some of the violence that we see, people get upset and
Yes,
they make
yes.
certain decisions.
Yeah.
There are some people that are bent on being a menace
Right.
to society.
And they premeditate.
Right,
Yes.
right. You know, and we have to pray and stuff and hope that they have some kind of confrontation with the supreme being
Yeah.
that changes them. You understand? But while all that is happening, we have to continue to do what we're doing. You know, there is a end time prophecy that the world is going to get worse. You understand? Evil men and seducers getting worse, and the darkness is going to get worse. However, it does not mean that we must just sit by.
Right, and that was my question, because
Yes.
I've heard even some Christians say,
Yeah.
we can't get out of it.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
so why
But it don't
fight
mean,
up?
It doesn't mean that. I think what the writers were saying, that this will be the reality of the environment that you will be engaged in your activity.
Right.
You understand? And when Paul, who is was one of the most prolific writers regarding this eschaton, was saying that you now have to be instant in season and out of season,
Right.
which means that your work is now intensified, that you have to work 24
And
hours
you
a
have
day.
to be equipped.
Indeed,
Yes.
indeed, you understand? And being the light of the world, actually light is most important when it is darkest.
Yes.
So there is no excuse. The position should not be that we just say, we throw up our hands and that is the society that we're in, and let's hope that Jesus comes quick and take us out of here and that kind of stuff. That should not be the approach.
Right.
We should occupy the space. We should continue. Those of us who claim that we have these kingdom principles and all that, we should continue to share those principles, and being the light of the world is not some arrogant social centerpiece either.
Right.
You understand? But really to touch the place
And,
that
and the kingdom principles should not only exist on a Saturday or a Sunday.
Indeed, that is the thing, and I think, I think, you know, all of us are the victims of religiosity, and we have to find a way to practicalize these principles that we have been taught.
Right.
You understand? And the most efficient manifestation of your discipleship is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
Correct.
which are not the traditional days that we in church, you
Correct.
understand? And I simply mean by that really what you learn in your enclosed space is to assist you in living better and influencing people for good and for development holistically when you in the place you spend most of your time. You
correct.
understand?
Yes.
And whatever is your vocation in life. So in all these stages, whether you work in media, whether you work in the public service, whether you work as a social worker, you work in whatever the services you provide, you provide that as a person that has these kingdom principles that guide your life, so that you are there to help people, to help the environment become a better place for all of us to live.
Right.
You understand? And so these are the things that drive me. These are the things that drive what we're doing on Sunday.
Right.
Because all of us want to see a Tobago that is that the atmosphere is user-friendly for personal development for all.
Right.
You understand? All of us want to see a pushback to this scourge that is upon us. You understand? We know that the security services are doing what they're doing. Government is doing what government can do, and so on. But there is need for this spiritual component to be front and center as part of the fight against this scourge that is upon
and
us.
viewers, if you find this conversation is going interesting, then you follow up by attending 911 Emergency Prayer for Tobago Volume 2. That's this Sunday, the 25th of August at 5 p.m. And Bishop Baynes, just remind us the location, please.
Yes, we are at the Calvary Road Deliverance Tabernacle in 4 Roads, Bonaccord. And you can't miss it. It is right there. And it promises to be a fantastic time of refreshing and so on, and a time, obviously, that we get and go before God, lay before Him these matters that are concerned, as He has encouraged us so to do.
Definitely. And viewers, that's all the time we have this morning on GMT. And I think it's a good way to end the conversations we have had for the morning. And remember the importance and the power of prayer. It is Wednesday, middle of the week. We still have some work days to go, so keep at it. You'll make it. And just remember, Tobago Updates is always here for you, bringing you all the content about what's happening here just for you. So thank you for staying with us this morning. Do enjoy the rest of your day.